Welcome back to what is now recognizably a kitchen. 4 appliances have been delivered, 2 have been installed, 1, the dishwasher, is just waiting to be installed. It takes a couple of steps to get there, and 1 appliance is still boxed up, sitting next to me, but you know, it's a journey. It's a journey. Because you've all been so wonderful with me on this journey, liking, commenting, subscribing, supporting. I really want to front load the helpful information for you in this video because appliances really are important. Oddly enough, I used to sell appliances as a part of a gig when I worked for a big box retail store. So there are some interesting things that you need to look out for when shopping for appliances. And I wanna help you out here now today if I can, okay? So we're gonna talk about the refrigerator, the oven/range, and along with that, the microwave, and then also the dishwasher. So let's start with the refrigerator. Okay, let's start with the refrigerator. Now I know someone out there is thinking, oh my gosh, what's the big deal, Jerome? Like, you go to Best Buy, you buy the cold box, and they bring it into your home. There is more to it, I promise you, especially if you are installing new cabinets. You absolutely must measure the width, height, and depth of your new refrigerator, okay? I used to work for a big box retailer, and when I sold appliances, the fear was always that the customer did not measure, again, the width, height, and depth of the refrigerator so that they could get the experience that they really wanted. Now, you know, you were here, we installed these cabinets, and if we had been off by an inch or half an inch, we would have had a very different experience when it came to getting this kind of finished look. Like, if you can see how close this refrigerator is to the cabinet, it's kind of impressive, personally. And that is because I was compulsive about measuring. We put together a spec sheet for the installer with, let's call them digital measurements. Then, once the cabinets were installed, we went back and took another set of measurements because sometimes the measurements that you have down on paper are not the measurements that you end up with in real life. Then we went back to the spec sheet for the refrigerator, scrolled down to the width, and triple, quadruple, 5-tuple checked that this refrigerator was just gonna barely squeeze into the hole that we made for it. But as always, whenever you have a project like this, things can go wrong. So we did measure the swing for this refrigerator, and you can hear it, click, click. It hits the stove, which is unfortunate. So it would have been nice if we had moved this refrigerator over to the left by just a little bit to get that full swing. But here's something I'm going to show you. This is how wide the refrigerator actually opens. So we are really, really lucky because we did not measure the swing. We are really, really lucky to find that this door here, even though it hits the stove right at the end, so it's not such a big deal. Now, if we had had a full French door refrigerator, where you really do want those doors to open all the way, we would have had a different experience. But here's another thing. We have a Lazy Susan cabinet here, and you see how it's opening like this? Well, if we pull it out, it can hit this refrigerator right here. So whenever possible, leave yourself some space between your appliance and the cabinets, just so you can make sure things open. Now, we got really lucky because the hinges on this one actually flip back, right? So we're not gonna have a problem, but if a guest comes and we ask them to get something out of the Lazy Susan, well, then we're gonna have some trouble. Okay, finally, and I know this seems easy, but someone always forgets, you do need to have an outlet for your refrigerator. So in our original layout, there was no outlet behind this refrigerator. So we had to have one run. And because we have an ice maker and a little jug of water, we had to install a water line as well. So if you've got a new build or something, or a renovation like we do where they opened up all the walls, make sure they run that water line and make sure they put in that outlet while you've got everything open, because otherwise it's gonna be a lot more expensive for you, okay? All right, now let's move on to the stove. Okay, now let's talk about the stove. As with any appliance, you wanna measure the width and depth of the stove. You wanna make sure it fits into the slot that you've already got if you're just replacing, or that it fits into your plan, your broader cabinet plan if you're doing something new. But moreover, you need to think about the type of stove that you're getting. So if you are getting a gas stove, then you need a gas line. And if you are rearranging your kitchen and have to move a gas line, that is expensive. So be thinking about that. On the other hand, if you're getting an electric stove, some electric stoves don't require too much wizardry to get them going, but this one did. We chose an induction stove, which required a special circuit, like a higher powered circuit. So we had to get an electrician to come and run something special down to the breaker box. You need to know when you have all of your walls opened up and before your cabinets are in, if you are going to get a stove that requires a special line run, okay? You need to be thinking about that. This space here is for the over-the-range microwave. If you want to plug a microwave in, then you need to have an outlet up here, don't you? And you got to get the outlet done before the cabinets are installed. So be thinking about that. Now here in this area, these appliances are obviously a little bit closer than what you'd want in an ideal situation, because you kind of want to leave enough breathing room for people to do multiple things at once. So if someone wants ice cream and someone else wants to cook a pizza, well then we're having some trouble, right? So ideally, in a perfect world, maybe this oven would have been moved over by this far, just far enough to close that distance. But for us, that would have meant moving this whole section here over next to the window, and then we would have had a microwave with one side open next to the window, and that just didn't make any sense for us. And so this is good. This is a good compromise position that's functional, but not as functional as it absolutely could be. Okay, the dishwasher. I had a totally different shot set up for this, but I figure I'm already wearing these knee pads, so I may as well get my money's worth out of them. The dishwasher. You've got to measure it for your dishwasher. Most are a standard size, but you never know. You also want to check the space between your island and your dishwasher, because when you open it up, you're going to want to make sure you've got room to stand back here. Like we don't have room for someone to stand and for someone to walk past them, really, you know? But that's fine, we're comfortable with this space. But you're gonna wanna think about the space that you have when the dishwasher is in use, and if that works for you. You also need to think about how you're gonna go from the sink to the dishwasher, to your cabinets. You know, functionally, do things make sense? And then when it comes to installation, you have to think about how your dishwasher is going to be installed beneath your sink. Typically what happens is the dishwasher gets installed into a garbage disposal because, you know, people do not clean their dishes before they put them in the dishwasher, and the garbage disposal catches all the food. So someone is going to have to drill a hole from this cabinet so that we can get the dishwasher kit through here and installed into our garbage disposal. But if you have a smaller sink and a large garbage disposal, then you're gonna run into trouble because there won't be enough room to get all of the cords and stuff from the dishwasher through the hole that they'd make in the cabinet, past and through and connected to your garbage disposal. I know some of you like to go to Home Depot and just buy the biggest, most powerful thing that you find when it comes to appliances. But in this particular instance, you really want to limit yourself to the garbage disposal that makes sense for your usage. So if you're not, a family of 6 throwing whole chickens down the drain, then you probably don't need the giant garbage disposal that sounds like you're starting a jet engine when you flip the switch, Just get one that makes sense for you and your family so that you definitely have plenty of room to install your dishwasher. Okay, that's the current state of the kitchen. It feels a little short and sweet, but that's that vlogger. We talked about the fridge, we talked about the oven, we talked about the microwave, we talked about the dishwasher. The next big products on our list are the countertops, and then I think we might be done with the kitchen, which is really exciting. And we got some things to deal with, like figuring out those beams, and I will be finishing the floors. I'm literally about to get back to work on those right now. But we are nearing completion on at least this part of the house, which is very exciting. We'll also be moving in pretty soon, so please stay tuned for that. After we get all moved in, I do anticipate changing the vibe of these vlogs just a little bit because our life will have changed at that point. So thank you again for all the likes, all the comments, all the subs. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.